and Joey Oddessa coming up next. We've got college football. We got Major League Baseball. We've got UFC this weekend. Of course, the NBA Finals are on tap. We'll get back to that. A lot of stuff to get to. Cousin Sal's going to join us a little bit later on, actually following Joey Oddessa. We're going to Fight Island. Boss, the plane. Fantasy Fight Island. Joey Oddessa steps up and in. Follow the action. What's up, Joey?
What's up, G? What's up, Cam? Good to see you back, Cam.
Hey, thanks, Joey.
We missed you last week. We were talking about. Oh, go ahead.
He's still very, very red, but yeah, he's
flush.
Back.
Yeah, yes.
Flush.
I don't understand. I'm very flush, but ready to rock.
Well, you bet thousands of dollars daily on sports. What do you mean you don't understand? I should be a doctor.
Excellent. Excellent.
Winning cures everything.
Yes, it does. Winning will lower things.
Yes, you're right, Joey. So let's try to win here. Let's jump right in. UFC Fight Island, Miraz and Sandhagen. Let's get right down to business so we can get to as many fights as possible. What do you think about the main event?
I like Marlon Moraes here. He opened a short favorite. They're betting Sandhagen. Like they know something. I don't see it. I think that Moraes is better. He's given up some size and some reach, but I'm flying with Moraes here, especially at plus money.
To me, exactly. I'm looking at this fight and I'm seeing the current number right now. There's been a lot of movement this week. FanDuel, Sandhagen minus 148, and you're getting plus 126 with Marlon in this fight. And I think it's kind of a toss-up, but people are kind of pushing Marlon aside right now, Joey. And I'm not so sure he's really done yet. I think, in my own personal opinion, look, he didn't look good against Aldo, right? Everybody said, Aldo is done. Aldo shouldn't even be fighting. And then Aldo actually, probably won that fight. So now everybody's burying Miraz here. But, he knows this as well. That just could have been a weird matchup, bad night for him. What's your take on that, Joey? That I think that's a big part of the number, isn't it? That people said, he couldn't even, he didn't even beat Jose Aldo, even though he got the win technically.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, people were betting Sandhagen against Aljamain Sterling. That didn't end well for Sandhagen. And, if you go with the math, and the math is a recipe for disaster, but Moraes got a win over Sterling. Moraes knocked him out. And, Moraes, the only guys, Moraes, I don't think Moraes fights. I think that Aldo fight, Brazil versus Brazil. I mean, if you look at Moraes' other loss, besides Cejudo, it was to Sun Sal. You know what I mean? Another Brazilian. I just think it's a weird dynamic with that fight. Brazil against Brazil. Maybe, I don't know what, maybe it was in his head or whatever. I don't know. I'm not in Moraes' head, but I know one thing. I know that Sandhagen is going to have to do something better than he did against Sterling, or he's going to be out of here early.
Yeah, I like Sandhagen as a fighter, but reading all the previews, Ken, this week, people keep on talking about him like he's the future champ or something like that, and I'm not so sure. I think getting a little bit overhyped, and it's being baked into the cake right now with the number. Which way do you think this number goes, Joey? If we like the underdog, should we wait? Do you think the money keeps on coming in on Sandhagen?
I think they'll keep betting Sandhagen. Look at his record. He's 12-2, but he's kind of the Brazilian killer. He beat Lineker. He beat a Sun Sal. He beat that Alcantara. But at the same time, I think Moraes is a different animal. I think the longer it goes, it probably benefits Sandhagen. He's probably going to want, not to coach Bagels it again, but he's going to probably want to keep him at the end of that jab and stuff. But, if Moraes comes out here and he fights explosively like he's done in the past, I think that Moraes will get a win here.
Joey Oddessa kicking it with us. All right, so Edson Barboza is a pretty big favorite, minus 260. Americani is plus 215 right now. You always say don't be afraid of the number if you like the fighter, but can you justify laying this price with Barboza?
I can't. I'm not going to. If I live and die with this card, it's not going to be by laying chalk. Barboza is a favorite in here against Armakani. Barboza lost 5 of his last 6 fights. 5 of his last 6 fights. He beat Dan Hooker, good win there. But he lost to Ige, he lost to Paul Felder. I think
I'm not
against Ige, though.
again, I don't know, just by chance we're talking about these fighters that got screwed. He got screwed in that fight, and I had money on Ige. Yeah, we got a lucky call, Joey.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he's got split decisions. I mean, he fights close. Whether he goes out there and wrecks Amirkhani, I think Amirkhani's tough. I think I don't want to say live dog here because it could turn out to be a live dog that won't win. But I got to pass on this. It's dog or pass here for me. It's Finland or pass.
Finland or pass for Joey Oddessa.
Suomi. That's Finland.
Ben Rothwell and Marcin Tybura. Rothwell's up to minus 164 right now. This is Cam's guy, Ben Rothwell. They have the same diet. What do you think,
he
Joey,
said
of the Rothwell fight?
It's okay. I love it. It's all good, Joey.
I mean, you go broke betting these heavyweights, man, because you don't know what's going to happen. They got big finishing power. I mean, you got to think that Tybura is going to have some sort of a game plan coming into this fight. He knows what to expect against Rothwell. Rothwell's been around forever. He's got like 50 fights. I always like Jackson Wink's game plans here, and I think that Tybura is going to come in here with a decent game plan and probably fight him close. This might turn out to be one of those split decision type bouts that that we're unhappy with the final result. Again, it's tough to bet. It's tough to bet Rothwell here.
Joey,
he's allergic to laying favorites, Joey.
No, he doesn't like chalk, Gabe, and that's one thing I don't have in my diet. Chalk. I got a lot of other things, saturated fats, no chalk. But let's talk about Buehler and this fight with Tom Breeze. Gabe and I had our friend Gamblu on, and he said we might have a live dog here. You talk about Tom Breeze going into things, sometimes he gets in his own head, Joey, and that's a problem when you're laying 250 with a guy like Breeze in this fight. What about the Canadian? Does he have a chance as an underdog here? Like your opinion?
Oh, sure. I'm not going to overemphasize it, but I think that he's got a real good shot in this fight. I mean, Breeze lost to that Brendan Allen, no shame there. But this Buehler kid, he's got 8 fights, and 6 of them ended in the first round? He's supposed to be pretty good. I mean, he's kind of a weird cat. I listened to an interview of his, and he was talking about some stuff that was, I don't even know, man. He was talking about like childhood things, and it was a little crazy. But maybe it's a good fine line between genius and. I think he'll come in here with a good game plan. I think this Tom Breeze, he was all the rage, and then when he came to the UFC, he rattled off like 3 straight wins after Cage Warriors, and then Sean Strickland beat him, split decision. But he beat him. And another thing about Breeze fought what? He fought 1 fight. He fought 2016, lost to that Strickland. Then he beat Daniel Kelly. And then he lost to that Brendan Allen. He lost by knockout to that Brendan Allen in the first round. And I don't like betting guys that, coming off of knockouts. And I just think that these guys, careers could be on different paths. But at the same time, this Buehler, I mean, the only guy on his record that I really recognize is that Matt Dwyer. And he went 5 with him. And he beat him by 5-round decision. So I don't expect any cardio problems here or anything. I kind of like under in this fight. Under 2.5 plus money.
I think we have a live dog as well. One thing we've seen in this pandemic with fighters getting their first chance. And I used to always say in the old days, Joey, well, listen, if the guy's making his UFC debut at 30, it's because, whatever. Or 32 or whatever, it's because he's not that good. Right. And they just needed, he got on a local card. He got put on a prelims, to try to sell some tickets regionally, etc. But I've been wrong about this recently, in which we've seen there's a pattern, Joey and Cam, of these guys that get their chance at the UFC, and they probably wouldn't have if not for like the pandemic situation. And more often than not, Joey, they're taking advantage of their situation. You know what I mean? They're hungry. You got hungry fighters. And a good thing about a Canadian fighter, too, you're always, and Joe, we always talk about, you're always going to get an honest effort, right? This guy trains with Tanner Boser. These guys aren't into frills and stuff like that. They're just tough dudes. As you said, Buehler, he's a little bit out there. Took a couple of years off to, find himself.
5 years.
Type of thing. But he's refreshed now, and he's a killer, right? Like, he's refreshed. He sort of got that Rory thing. I don't know. Like, I think he's a nice guy and he hurts people. And like, you know what I mean? He's all over the place.
Like
I think in his head. Yeah, exactly. Right, like, I don't really want to hurt you, but I'm going to murder you. Right. So he's got one of those things. But I tell you, I think he's a hungry fighter. As far as that Rothwell fight, I think the best bet, the way to go, I never win when I bet Ben Rothwell fights, but I think Rothwell probably wins. But I think the over is the way to go. It's 2.5, as you stated. It's going to be an ugly one of those ugly, boring heavyweight fights.
Gun to my head, I'd have to take Ty Burr, as bad as he's looked. But you've said something about these undefeated fighters coming into the UFC, and something interesting. I saw this stat, and looked pretty accurate. There's like 35 undefeated fighters that are on the UFC roster right now, and this Bular kid is one of them, and the other one I'm going to jump to is this Omar Morales. Yeah, that's his name, right? Omar Morales, the Venezuelan kid. And I'm not trying to throw a fastball at you here, but the Venezuelan kid is fighting the Georgian kid, that Giga Chikadze. I said something earlier in the week where, a lot of people get enamored by these guys when they come over. When you see these kickboxers come over to the UFC, and this happened with a lot of guys. The most notable one was Crow Cop. But when they see these guys with the great stand-up and the great kickboxing come over to the UFC, it seems like bettors fall in love with them. And I attribute that probably to the preview shows. But something that, about that fight, he came over to the UFC and they got him beat. I mean, he got beat. He got beat in I think it was his second fight in the UFC. That Giga Chikadze or whatever his name is. He lost on the Contender Series.
Listen, Joey.
He lost to
we only have about 10, 15 seconds here. So do you like Morales minus 152?
I like Morales. I like this Kelly kid fighting Al Kawazi or whatever his name is. Fighting the Jordanian.
Joey Oddessa podcast. Follow the action.
Thanks, Joey.